Today, we are going to be talking about some financial aid basics, tips, information that may be helpful while transitioning into your undergraduate years here at UF, and maybe some questions that you're thinking about when you start thinking about what's next. Okay, so today we're going to be going over a quick review of some financial aid basics, the process of receiving financial aid, what students need to do to continue receiving that aid, how to use your One.UF to navigate your financial aid details, and we'll also be answering any questions that you might have about the financial aid process. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to post them in the chat and I will get to them as soon as I am able to, or you can hold off until the very end and you can ask them there in overview of financial aid. So as part of your journey to UF so far, you may have already completed some of these items or you are planning on completing them, but we're going to start off with the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. You'll need to complete this for any need-based grants, student loans, federal work study. You should be entering in Summer B, so hopefully you've completed the 2023-2024 application. In addition, you would also have completed the 2024-2025 for that next fall and spring that are upcoming. If you'd like to be considered for summer federal aid and you haven't completed your 23-24 FAFSA yet, there is still some time to complete it. So you should do that as soon as possible, even after the presentation, if you have some free time. Another application you most likely have completed is the Florida Financial Aid application, the FFAA, that's needed for state programs like Bright Futures. The deadline is August 31st, so if you still need to submit it or need to update your information to include the University of Florida, you have some time, but like before, it is better to do it sooner rather than later. You're going to have a lot of big things coming up, moving into college, going away from your parents. So in the heat of everything, it's better to just do those now while you have some time. If you have not done your FAFSA as well, you'll want to do that. But you've already completed your admissions applications. You are already admitted, so congrats on being part of the Gator Nation. You've done a lot to get to this point. You've been admitted, you've completed financial aid applications, you should have a financial aid package. So what's next? To ensure a smooth transition as possible, it's important to understand your college expenses, financial aid possibilities, and the requirements. So we're going to go over some tips and next steps to keep in mind before you begin your summer classes in just a few weeks. So we all know that college costs money. So let's talk about some of the costs associated with attending a higher education. So at every institution, there are various types of educational related expenses like tuition and fees, books, course materials, supplies, transportation, getting to and from places, living, personal expenses, maybe some loan fees if you are taking those out. All of this creates our cost of attendance. So these education related expenses are the costs of attendance students should expect to incur while they're enrolled in these college courses. It's updated each year to reflect the estimated average costs of each of these components, and the costs are assigned to each student's file. The costs can vary depending on what your actual tuition charges may be, depending how many credits you're taking, residency, if you're living with a parent, if you're living on campus, or if you're from out of state, even your academic career, if you are solely online, if you have a different major, things like that can vary cost of attendance student by student. But the costs help us determine how much financial aid our office can award to you. The cost of attendance includes both direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are going to be those costs the university bills directly to the student. So think about your tuition and fees, books, if you get them directly from our bookstore. If you're living on campus, your dorm costs, meal plans, things like that are going to be direct costs. Indirect costs are the ones that the university is not billing you for. So they're bought on your own. Like if you buy a laptop, if you're buying clothes, personal expenses, if you're getting your books from an outside source like Amazon, if you're paying rent off campus, Those are the ones that will be indirect and that you are buying without the university having to charge you directly. So it's important to consider your costs in relation to the financial aid, income, and other financial assistance you may be getting. You want to be asking yourself, can my income cover all of my expenses? Are there more affordable options available to me? On the right, you can see a chart kind of our cost of attendance, a breakdown percentage-wise of where maybe the majority of your money will be going to. You can also see this online at our website, and you can see more information about the cost of attendance there. So how do you pay for all of these expenses? Our payment options are managed by the University Bursar. Keep in mind, they don't have any payment plans available, but an option to pay for these expenses could be college saving plans. Florida Prepaid is a big one. It's handled by the University Bursar, and it's based on your social security number. So as long as there is a plan with your social security information on it, it will be automatically billed. The only action really needed for Florida Prepaid is if you'd like to opt out of it and don't want to be billed. So maybe you're on a full ride scholarship and want to save it for later, you'd want to opt out. Otherwise, it is a pretty automatic process. There's also third-party sponsors that can pay for students' tuition, fees, mandatory health insurance. Sponsors could be a private or a public organization, maybe a trust account, a foreign country, or other government agencies. Just note that for that, you would have to submit documentation from the sponsor on the organization's letterhead or some type of authorizing document specifying the amount of tuition and fees they'll cover and the time period, letter of acknowledgement, and it would need to be submitted before the end of the first week of classes, which you could submit in person, by mail, by fax, by email to the bursar. You can also pay out of pocket. You can pay online through your one.uf using an electronic check with routing/bank information or a credit or debit card. You can also pay in person if you'd like. The Bursar's office does not accept cash, so it would have to be a personal check, a cashier's check, a money order. And just like the above, you can mail it. You can come in person straight to them directly, or they have a 24-hour drop box right outside of their office here in Kaiser. Just make sure that you or your student's information is on the check. That way the bursar can apply it to the correct account and not just another student that's going to get a really hefty some change in their pocket. Another form of payment is using financial aid. There are various forms. There's grants, scholarships, kind of like Bright Futures, or outside scholarships. There's student employment, there's loans. Most federal aid programs require the FAFSA, so make sure you are filling that out. Otherwise, you may have other outside applications for some private scholarships that may be through your community or a parent's work. So eligibility can vary on these programs and the amount can vary on what a student is eligible for. So make sure you are paying attention to all of those details. We'll look at some of our more common financial aid options that students come in with in the next slide. The first of which is the Florida Bright Future Scholarship. A majority of our students come in with it. With the Bright Future Scholarship, students who are Florida residents have to submit that FFAA application just once. As long as you are meeting requirements like maintaining that GPA, you're passing your courses, you are enrolled at least half time, you can use Bright Futures for fall, spring, and summer. If for some reason during your coursework and your time here at UF, you have to drop a class, you will have to pay back Bright Futures for those dropped classes. But there are two different levels of Bright Futures. The first is the Florida Academic Scholars. It will pay 100% of your tuition and fees. So here at the University of Florida, that will be $212.71 times however many credits you're enrolled in. If that's 15, then that's 15. If it is 6, it is 6. If it is 4, then it won't cover it because you have to be enrolled at least 6 credit hours. So just keep that in mind whenever you are enrolling for your classes, that it will cover 100% of those tuition and fees. For the Florida Academic Scholars, in order to continue renewing it, you need to maintain at least a 3.0 GPA and complete those credit hours that you are enrolled in. The second is the Florida Medallion Scholars. It will cover 75% of tuition and fees. So 75% of our credit hour is $159.53. To continue renewing this level, you will have to maintain a 2.75 GPA and complete all of your credit hours that you were enrolled in. There's a couple links in the chat for more information about Bright Futures. And if you have more questions, you can always go on our website and there is a section for that as well. For federal work study, it is need-based, so a FAFSA is required to be considered for it. And just like other federal aid programs, you must be enrolled at least half-time to receive your federal work study. So with this, eligible students have the award on their award package, and they can look for student assistant jobs on campus specifically for federal work study workers. You can use our job website and search for jobs that interest you, and you would apply with a cover letter and a resume. If you have never done that before, you can always go to, I believe it's the Career Connection Center, and they can help you write a cover letter or write a resume. They can help you even get clothing for your interview. But if hired for one of those jobs, you can work up to 20 hours each week. You would earn a paycheck every other week, and it would go directly towards you. Federal work study is a great way to build networking, meet faculty and staff on campus, get that work experience. The main reason most of us go to college is to get a job afterwards. So it's a great way to get that experience in a degree, in the degree that you're interested in, meet some people that have a lot of great knowledge and can talk to you about, maybe what they did straight after college, give you some great insight, and something that correlates with what you're interested in and really set you up for success in the future and post-graduation. So federal student loans are another award that you can use to pay for college. They also require the FAFSA and for a student to be enrolled in at least 6 credit hours. There are several different types of loans, but the two main federal direct ones are federal direct subsidized loans and federal direct unsubsidized loans. Students take these out under their name. Our subsidized loans are need-based and interest-free while enrolled. No interest accrues until a student graduates or withdraws from school. Our unsubsidized, well, the federal unsubsidized loans do accrue interest while in school. But with both of these loans, you are not required to make payments until 6 months after graduation. Just keep in mind that interest is accruing with that unsubsidized loan. So you can make payments early if you want it or are able to, and are always welcome to. And if you are offered a loan, it will be on your 1.UF on your package. You do have the option to decline the loan. You do not have to accept it. You can decline, reduce, or accept any amount given to you. If you do accept it, you do need to do some extra steps. You would have to do the entrance counseling and master promissory note on studentaid.gov, and that would allow us to disperse your loan. Because students can only take out a certain amount of loans every year, sometimes it's not enough to cover all of their expenses. Your parents can apply for a Parent Plus loan as well. The Parent Plus loan can be awarded for a specific amount or up to the student's cost of attendance to pay money for any other expenses. It does require a FAFSA application and would be taken out under the parent's name. So your parents would be the borrower for this type of loan. And just kind of like the unsubsidized loan, this loan does begin accruing interest while the student is enrolled in school. But your parent would submit a supplemental application on studentaid.gov, and it is based on their credit history. So if they are approved, they can take out a loan for, like we said, either a specific amount or up to your cost of attendance. If they are denied, a student can contact our department about other possible options, but that's only if your parent is denied for the Parent Plus loan. But if looking for additional loan options, the Parent Plus is a great way to get some more options to cover the cost of attendance, whether they're approved or denied. It can allow you some additional options for some more aid. The next options are scholarships. So these would be additional scholarships outside of what you may receive from the FAFSA, Bright Futures, or institutional ones from UF. While colleges and universities offer many scholarships to their students, there are tons more that can be found from other organizations. Students can search for scholarships in various ways, either from organizations in their community, their employers, their parents' employers. You can look directly on college or departmental websites or reputable search engines. You can also look on our scholarship search engine on the Student Financial Aid website. It's a great way for students to look for both college awarded and private scholarships available at the University of Florida. You can search based on your major, class standing, if you're a freshman or junior, your GPA, and other criteria, and look for scholarships. Looking for outside scholarships is not easy, so search often and apply for as many as you can, and make sure to be careful of scams. Many scams can get you to pay for information that you can find yourself for free, so be skeptical if a scholarship offers like guarantee you'll get all aid, like we'll cover a certain amount of your tuition. Just make sure to read all the fine print. And if it's asking you for your credit card or banking information, maybe steer clear of it or ask someone to kind of do more research with you about it. But if you get an outside scholarship, be sure to report that on your 1.UF. We'll talk about where you can report it later, but make sure to report it so our office is aware of it. If they are mailed, make sure it is directly to our office. You can see our mailing address right on the slide, and you can also see it on our website under the scholarships tab. You can also bring these checks in person to Kaiser or drop it off in that 24-hour drop box right outside. But make sure that your name and UFID are on the check so that once again, it can be linked to the correct account and paid directly towards you. So next would be receiving your financial aid. So once you are admitted to UF and you've completed your FAFSA, your requirements for Bright Futures or other scholarships being awarded, you would receive your financial aid package. That financial aid package can be viewed on 1.UF, and it'll list your cost of attendance and all of the aid that you have received. So in the future for the next year for 2025, 2026, you can expect your award packages during different times of the year. Fall and spring are usually posted late summer going into that fall semester. And for summer aid, those offers are posted around late spring after your summer enrollment is confirmed. So it should be posted for you if you've completed your FAFSA application and can be found on your 1.UF. But once you receive that aid package, make sure you understand the different eligibility requirements for what you've been awarded. Federal aid, like need-based grants, have different eligibility requirements than outside scholarships, like Bright Futures, for example. If you're receiving federal aid, you want to make sure you're completing that FAFSA every single year, but make sure that you know the requirements needed to receive those types of programs again. A lot of awards can be renewed from year to year, but some scholarships and grants are awarded per academic year and aren't guaranteed every single year. So just make sure you know, be sure you know how to supplement for following years if you're getting an award this year, maybe not next year. Just make sure that you're budgeting for that. And depending on your enrollment status, your residency, if you switch majors, other type of changes to your eligibility, those can affect your financial aid package for subsequent years as well. But after drop add, if your enrollment changes, your award amount may also change and you'll receive a notification. So if we award you for 15 credits and it turns out you're actually taking 12, there may be a slight difference in your award package to make up for that drop in credit hours. And once again, make sure you report outside scholarships as soon as possible before the semester begins. That way your financial aid package is as accurate as it can be. Let me see. When it comes to receiving your financial aid and the process, students have a drop add period. During this period, students are finalizing their schedule, adding and dropping courses, and then after that period, we can determine how many credit hours students are actually enrolled in, and we can begin our disbursement process. Our office takes a student's financial aid, scholarship, grants that are accepted and apply all of the funds to any charges directly billed to our students. So on one.uf, you can see those charges that are being billed, your housing, your meal plan, and you can use financial aid to pay for those charges first. If you have more charges than your financial aid, then those charges are going to be up to you or your parent to go back in and pay for. So keep an eye on your one.uf page. Make sure you're able to pay off all of those charges that you may owe to the university. But if you have more financial aid than charges, you should be receiving a refund. So money left over after those charges are paid off will go back to the student as a refund through direct deposit. On your one.uf, you can set up your direct deposit account. Typically, it's a checking account under the student's name, and you'll enter all your banking information. The money will go there. UF doesn't hold refunds for future semesters, so make sure that information is updated and it is your information. That refund is to be used for other educational expenses like books, supplies. If you're living off campus, then it'll be used for your rent. It really is up to you, and it's your responsibility to how you use those funds. But to make disbursements run smoothly, you can submit a student permission to have your financial aid pay those direct expenses first before you get refunded. So have your financial aid pay for your tuition, housing, meal plans, bookstore, any charges that are being directly billed from UF first before you get refunded. If you don't select the permission, then what we do is we take your financial aid, we apply it to your tuition. But if you have other charges like that housing, Gator dining, bookstore charges, we will not pay for that. So the refund would go straight to you, and it is your responsibility to go back into your account and pay off those leftover charges. So it's beneficial to get that permission to have charges taken care of. That way you can keep the refund for all of your other outside educational expenses. And if it's not a direct cost, if UF isn't charging you, make sure to budget those funds so that you're able to pay for all of your expenses. So for example, your technology, if you need a new laptop, if you are going to be going home every other week, if you're buying brand new clothes, personal charges, make sure you are keeping those in mind when you are budgeting. A financial aid refund is meant to be used for your educational expenses. So coming into college, this is going to be one of the first times where you're going to really have to start learning how to manage and budget your funds. If you are living off campus, you have other supplies or personal expenses you need, or you know you need to save money for a future semester, make sure you're budgeting and managing your funds in a way that you don't have to worry about paying for food or rent or anything that you know you need. There are different types of educational expenses like transportation, living expenses, miscellaneous, maybe some loan fees. Make sure you're budgeting your funds, and you can always reference the cost of attendance on our website. And you just want to make sure you're tracking your funds and what you're truly spending your money on. If you're spending a lot of money on takeout, or you're buying a new wardrobe every single week and not your true educational expenses, you may want to think about how you're budgeting and what you're really spending your money on. You can get your Starbucks, but just maybe not every morning. Make sure your funds are lasting each semester, so they are dispersed at the beginning. If you're receiving any refund, you're getting it all at the start of a semester in a lump sum to cover you all the way until the end of that semester. So make sure you're prioritizing your spending, and it's always okay to put some money aside in your savings for emergencies, because you never know what can happen in the future. Set financial goals. If you want to study abroad next semester or in the future during your time here at UF, you can start saving for that. Financial stress can be a big impact on your performance and your well-being. So having this financial literacy and money management can help kind of alleviate that stress. If you want some more information, you can always go on our website. The Student Financial Aid website has different videos and resources like our Financially Fit presentation, where you can get some tips and tricks on how to manage your finances throughout your time here. Maintaining eligibility. So if you are receiving any federal financial aid, think your Pell Grants, federal work study, those student loans, the federal government requires students to maintain satisfactory academic progress throughout their time, or else most of your aid eligibility will be terminated. So you can see the requirements on the screen. You have to maintain a cumulative 2.0 GPA. You have to complete 67% of your attended coursework. And you have to complete your degree within 180 hours. We check satisfactory academic progress, or SAP, at the end of every spring semester. So if for some reason you are not meeting SAP, you will be notified to your UF email address and also on your 1.UF on your financial aid summary. A little bit later, I will show you where exactly you'll see this on 1.UF, but from which point, if you aren't meeting SAP, you can complete a petition available on our website in case there's some extenuating circumstances throughout the academic year. Something happened within your family, something big happened that caused you to not meet SAP. You can always petition, and our office will evaluate that petition. If it's approvable, your financial aid eligibility can be reinstated. And just like before, you can find this information right on our website. If you have any kind of future thoughts about it, or you just want to read back up about it, it is available to you there. But some other things to make sure you maintain that eligibility is complete any requirements on your 1.UF page. So if you are submitting a FAFSA, sometimes students are selected for verification. It's a federal process where your FAFSA application is reviewed just to make sure that all of the data entered is accurate. So if you're selected for verification, that will once again show up on your 1.UF page under your to-do list. Our verification process is done through a third party called ProEd. Any documents needed will be submitted directly to them. And once that process is completed, our office will receive notification from them and we can continue with your financial aid awarding. Any loan requirements must be accepted if you want them. You can accept them, complete that entrance counseling, master promissory note, and be enrolled in at least 6 credit hours to receive it. But all of those will show up on your to-do list as well as items you need to do in order to receive that loan. So most financial aid requires the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA as we all call it. It is not automatic, so you do need to complete it every year to be considered for federal aid. If you want to be considered for it and you didn't complete it for the upcoming summer B semester, you want to do that as soon as possible. That way we can get you an award package and you can have an idea of how much aid that you may be getting. It is based on prior tax information. So for summer B, you completed the 2023-2024 FAFSA and you used you and or your parents' 2021 tax return, which is a couple of years ago. So if your current financial situation is not reflected by the FAFSA and your previous tax return information, there are petitions on our website. That way we can take maybe your current situation into mind when awarding you that aid. But most awards require at least 6 credit hours of enrollment. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your classes and you're managing your aid and your budget. And like before, most, if not all of this information can be found directly on the financial aid website. So if after you find yourself having some questions and you don't want to ask them at the end or in the chat, you can always go on our website and look for some more information. And we are almost at the end of the presentation. So one final topic I want to talk about is your 1.UF page. You can see all of the information we spoke about before on here, like your to-do list, your holds. Your 1.UF is going to be a page where students can be familiar with registering for courses. You can find your class schedule, see your grades, charges, view that financial aid award package, and you can also do your authorized information release form. So there are laws that prohibit UF from releasing information concerning a student's record without the consent of the student. So if you'd like us to talk to your parents about your finances, or you'd like them to talk to us about anything, you will need to give them the authority to do so. So you can go into your 1.UF and add them onto that authorization for information release. That way they can talk to us and we can talk to them. To access one.uf, it will require your GatorLink username and password, and it can be operated on your smartphone, your tablet, your desktop, virtually anytime, anywhere. So when you first log in to your account, this will be what the homepage looks like. And right at the top left, you're going to see your actions item summary. So this will be where you see your holds. These are going to be items that can prevent things like your financial aid from dispersing. It can prevent you from registering for your classes, obtaining your diploma, your transcripts. So whenever you see holds on your account, you want to do your best to clear them up sooner rather than later. It'll tell you what is being held up and what you can do to have that hold removed. So, for example, maybe you have a past due balance, you would have a past due balance hold, and it'll give you instructions of how to clear that. You'll also see your to-dos. So these are requirements a student has to complete. So for example, if you are taking out loans, those loan requirements like completing your master promissory note and that entrance counseling are going to be there in your to-do list. There's an info section that'll give you some general notices. So for example, some of you may have had a FAFSA kind of info notice on there. It'll let you know when the FAFSAs are available for completion. And action items can be posted by a bunch of departments on campus. So it'll tell you when an item has been posted, what will be impacted from it, if you may not be able to register for classes or if it'll hold your diploma, and then what you need to do to complete those items, if applicable. You'll also be able to see your campus finance page kind of on the right. You can see your charges posted on your account from your tuition, your health insurance, your meal plan. Those will be on this page, and that'll be also a section where you can sign up for direct deposit. Or if you need to update your direct deposit, it'll all be right there. There is also a financial aid section where you can look at your aid for the year. The package will be posted in the respective years with a breakdown of what you're receiving. So you will see your financial aid for this year, and then also for subsequent years, you'll be able to see those once those years have come. You can also see your past ones if you're interested in maybe what aid you got the previous year and if you're getting that same one for the following. So this is a financial aid summary page. When you click on the financial aid section, this is going to be what you see. So at the very top, you'll see the SAP section we mentioned earlier, that's satisfactory academic progress. If you are receiving any federal aid like grants, federal work study loans, like we said, the federal government requires you to maintain SAP. So you'll have to maintain those specific academic standards in order to keep up your financial aid eligibility. You can also view your progress through your one.uf. Underneath SAP, you'll see a summary of your federal aid / cost of attendance. We kind of talked about the breakdown earlier, but here you can see your own individualized breakdown for the semester. This one has fall and spring semesters. These are averages of education-related expenses. It doesn't mean you'll end up spending the amounts that are posted on here. The whole point of the cost of attendance is to help students budget for the academic year. And like we said, depending on your schedule, after drop add, this number may even change if you're taking more or less credits than we've predicted. As a summer B admit, odds are you may only see a cost of attendance for summer 2024. And then whenever fall comes around, you'll be able to see that as well. Underneath that section, you'll see your actual aid package. So this will include any grants or scholarships you receive, or for example, federal work study, that will show there as well. For federal work study, you have to apply for a job, get hired, and earn pay to get that award. So just keep that in mind if you're seeing that on your award package. That is something that you have to do some other steps to receive the award. And any students who are offered loans, that will appear on here as well for you. You should see an option to take action, and that'll be where you can accept the loan, reduce it, or decline it. And if you're interested in doing a Parent Plus, your parents would do that on an application through studentaid.gov, so directly through them. And then for fall, you'll see your awards in the fall and spring 2025 columns. If you're offered aid, it'll have the award details, your amounts offered and accepted, and then cumulative and by semester options for you. At the very bottom, you're going to see your self-reported additional aid. So this tab is going to be for anybody who's receiving outside scholarships. You can report it to our office right through there. So you would list the name of the scholarship, how much you're receiving, and then once it comes in, we can add it to your financial aid award package. Make sure to report it before the semester begins. That way your package can be as accurate as possible. And that's essentially it. Financial aid's super vital to a lot of our student success here at the University of Florida. So we went over kind of what financial aid is, explored the different types of awards, touched on how to apply and how to receive it. So if you ever have any questions or you want some clarification about something and you don't want to ask it now, you can always visit our website for some more info, or you can contact the One Stop. You can ask before you act. They are very nice. They have so much knowledge about a variety of things, financial aid, scholarships, finances, holds, registrations. They can answer anything, and if they cannot, they will find someone for you who can answer it. So if you have any questions, maybe you're thinking of enrolling half-time and you want to know how that impacts your aid, you can ask the One Stop. They are there Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. They're available online, over the phone, in person, just not on holidays. But you can always find them here, right here in Kaiser, or whatever different form you may be wanting to take.